What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Tuesday Track Talk, episode number 31 for the colleague Daniel Hemrick. We are your Three Stones pit crew. I'm your gas man, Cam.
You're Jackman Kellen.
And I'm your tire changer, Cam.
And we typically say this, but just sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. We're going to cover, as we always do, a whole gamut of disciplines. Pretty action-packed weekend of racing for us over the last weekend. Some wing sprints, some asphalt super late models, and as always, the Cup Series when plate racing. So stay tuned. I'm sure we're going to have some interesting takes and talking points, but how we doing, fellas?
Good. 2 weeks in a row at the racetrack. Can't complain.
I'm on 3.
No.
I'm on 3. So no, it was a little chilly this weekend.
It's just
but we
wind cut through everything.
Absolutely. But we survived. Great racing. And we both made the drive home. Given I was riding with Grandpa, but made some good time.
I'll tell you what, I don't know who's in front of us leaving. Somebody pulled out with a hauler right in front of us. And at one point I looked down, I was going 64 and I was getting towed. Like just walking away from me. I looked down, I'm like, holy shit, I better slow down here a little bit. And I looked, gone. Just absolutely gone.
You know, you should have stayed with them. Stick with the Super Speedway theme here and just draft along with them. Maybe you could have saved some gas.
Yeah, draft along with them until I get that $200 speeding ticket.
I think one of us can speak to that.
No comment at this time.
Got him.
I was gonna say when he said, "Yeah, we made some pretty good time." I'm like, "Yep, you're used to that."
Well, it's even more dangerous with Grandpa's given. It's not the full-blown Mustang that everybody's accustomed to, but I got Grandpa's Mustang for a little bit this week, and I was told to watch my heavy foot. So
Checks out. So
Yeah, well, let's not waste any time because we got a whole lot of racing to talk about. So, let's jump into a couple of our brief race recaps. Starting off with some wing sprints, high limit at Southern Oklahoma Speedway. Pretty awesome race, in my opinion. But I'm just gonna throw it out to you guys. What initial thoughts did you have if you had the chance to tune in? I know me and Kellen were going back and forth with our race picks. We always pick races when we're watching the same races, who's going to win it, and keep a tally how many who's right or who gets the upper hand. But what initial thoughts did you guys have?
at first initial thought, so knowing dirt doesn't have the spotters, the choose cone.
yes,
I didn't observe that until this feature, and I kind of missed that, and that's my bad. But like the choose cone thing is quite the dynamic. It's not the given typical leader gets the pick and everyone goes every other from there, or it's not the in the dirt supers you have the Delaware double file. It's not that. It's we're gonna stack them too wide until a certain point, and then you get to pick. So that was just I just had that aha moment on that whole deal. So um that was awesome. I thought that was badass, especially late in the race with those restarts like that.
yeah, absolutely. It takes a lot into the driver's hands. And especially when you get a track that can have both the bottom and the top going, that makes the racing just that much more interesting. And guy can ride that high side, or he's running really good on that low side, running the curb. Could definitely make things interesting. But no, good race overall. Um, Nothing. I mean, the real story was the next one, but no, good race overall. Finally got to see Brad Sweet finally get his win in the high limit series this year. Took him a little bit, which is saying something. It tells you how steep the competition is on that side.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and um, Sweet it's just been doing a good job. You know he was due for it. it was a matter of time, and he's again, we talk about it often, but Sweet's just one of those guys that he finishes where what his car gives him on that given night. That's where he finishes. If he's got a third place car, he's going to finish third. If he's got a fifth, he's going to finish fifth. And when he's got a car that can win it, he's going to win it. And so I feel like, although this was his first win, and I'm sure this is going to be the first of many this year, this was building. He's been consistent all year. He showed speed. Um, he runs well, and it was just a matter of time.
So to kind of go on top of that, so when you think about, yeah, he's won World Outlaws 5 times. That is also part of points racing. That he's got the points racing thing figured out that, all right, guys, we put together an 8th place card tonight. We're gonna finish somewhere between 7 and 10. Where he just doesn't have the nights that he wrecks out. So yeah, he hadn't won to this point, but he also was in the top 2 in the point standings. Like, that's what it comes down to in terms of points racing. And you talk about winning a championship, that's ultimately what it takes. Where some guys might bonsai through there in 4 to try to get a spot on the last lap, and the next thing you know, you're on your lid and you finish dead last. Like,
Yep.
And
so that's a huge piece of points racing.
And I think that was something that, and I don't remember if Rico had talked about it before, if we had even talked about it before with Rico Abreu. This is the first time he's been doing, points championship.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a true outlaw beforehand, so he's just going for the trophy basically. Where, maybe the first little bit of the season you saw it was almost checkers or wreckers type of thing. But
Yeah.
now it's okay, you got to stay in contention night in, night out, just come away with a finish and get your points as you can get them type of situation too. But a guy that is definitely taking advantage of just finishing races and finishing good, Tyler Courtney. He was not on my bingo card as far as having as strong a year as he's already had.
Dude's on a mission.
Out of the gate hot.
And that's including some World Outlaw wins as well.
Yeah. I mean,
And
that feature alone, he went 12-2
yep.
in that feature. And then up to that point, that was 6 podium and 8 races for him.
Yeah, again, just talking about taking advantage of being in it when you need it.
And some of those nights, some of the nights that we've talked in my previous episodes, he's come from deep.
Oh yeah.
He's buried himself in the high teens, and he'll end up on the podium. Or the nights that he didn't podium, he was right there.
Yeah.
So he's somebody that's been on a tear to start the season without
And
a doubt.
even so, and to that point, with him coming from 10-2, he was gaining ground on Sweet before that caution came out too.
3/4 of a second a lap.
He was hauling the mail coming.
Yeah.
He was gonna make that white flag lap very interesting, like I said before that caution came out.
And I would have really enjoyed to see it play out without the caution. Let's just let it see what happens, because you get, I believe, for a high limit, I believe it's inside 10 laps to go. They go single file.
Yes, unless situations with the track, like we saw at Salina dictate
Yeah,
otherwise.
they went single file, and he just didn't even have it. Sweet took off.
Sweet got the jump and just
Yeah.
yeah.
So I would like to have seen it play out without the caution, but he was there.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
no,
I think
I was
good
gonna say just good race overall.
for sure. And I think I was just gonna reiterate, Tyler Courtney is somebody who's obviously had success, and he's made a name for himself, and he's obviously well known, but tire changer, to your point, I guess I expected him to get a win here and there, but to be out of the gate as hot as he is, can't say I had that on my bingo card, but I do love it. He's good for the sport and what he represents. So yeah, overall good race. Obviously we mentioned it already. Took Brad Sweet 8 races to finally get his first win. Gets a $12,000 payday. So good little payday for him. And then as High Limit always does, or forget how it works, but you get to choose a donation to a charity. And remind me how that works.
I think it's
Uh,
$1,000 a race.
the winner just gets to choose, or I thought
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
thousand
it's
bucks
of
a race.
winners. Yeah, of winners choosing.
Yep,
if a high limit guy wins the race. Correct.
Yes.
Got it.
yep,
Yep, there it is.
yep.
That's I thought there was some caveat. So yeah, obviously, if a high limit guy wins a high limit race, an anonymous donor donates $1,000 to a charity. So pretty cool deal to have something like that on board for a series. And obviously these guys all got things that are important to them. So he donates $1,000 to Shriners Hospital. So mentioned it already. Courtney goes 12-2. Look, obviously off to a hot start this year and 6-8 on the podium. So somebody who is going to have his name in the mix at the end here for the inaugural series championship if he continues this run. So him and Brad Sweet and Rico, but yeah, obviously finishing up that race, Brad Sweet gets the win. Tyler Courtney, Spencer Baston, Marks, Day, Rico, Thorson, and McFadden round out your top 6 or 7 there. So any
Corey
other
Day's
final
another
thoughts?
guy. Corey Day's another guy that's starting to put some things together.
Mhm. You betcha. Before that race on Friday night, he was back-to-back feature winner,
Yep.
including the regular one, and then the midweek he won as well. Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you're not following along the series, I think I feel like we've been getting teased here and there, and we're finally starting to get to see, some weekly. The boys are at it week.
They're starting to hit the heavy part of the schedule.
Yep, and that's when, um, some of these teams are going to start hitting their stride. Corey Day, where you're going to see when these guys are, at the track, 3 days a weekend, 3 shows, and team
Yep.
starts figuring it out. Look for some of these other guys to start stringing some good wins together because it only takes one. So if you don't have any other final thoughts on High Limit, um, definitely tune into the series. It's only going to get more interesting from here. I see Tire Changers about to speak.
Yeah, just kind of an off-topic question with the high limits, though. What do we think about and I forget the sponsor that does this, but I don't know, the hard-hitting question when they're spinning the wheel for the dash.
Love it. What?
Just,
God, I
yeah,
gotta look up because it's bothering me. It's
yeah, but it's just one of those get to know the drivers a little bit outside of the race car type of situation.
Butlerville hot seat question of the night.
Yep,
Obviously,
yep.
Butlerville sponsors the seats for the series, but yeah, it's the Butlerville hot seat question of the night. I love it.
Yeah,
Some of
I
them,
think
some of them are kind of layups. Other ones you can take them however you want. Like the one night is what's your favorite thing? What's your favorite hobby outside of racing? Um, the other Friday night was what's the hardest part about being on the road, or what's the hardest part about being on a
Yeah.
traveling series?
One of them was
So
like,
some of them,
what's your daily driver?
yeah, some of them are kind of layups, and other ones you got guys all over the place.
Breakfast cereals.
Yep.
Breakfast
That's-
cereals. Something Toucan Sam, somebody mentioned.
Yeah. No,
I
I
think
I,
it's
I
a
love it.
yeah, I was gonna say I think it's a fantastic idea. Because again, most of us fans, you only get to see one side of them, and that's
Helmet on behind the wheel.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, helmet on, locked in,
Yep.
focus on one thing only and one thing only, and that's getting the car right to get a feature win. So again, it gets the fans to see a side of them that you don't always see, and I feel like High Limit's doing that already, and it's awesome with the playlist, different drivers playlist at the track each night. So I think they're just cool things that allow fans to get to know drivers a little bit better. And
Mm,
again, like you said, some of them are, questions we all wonder about, what's it like actually being, on the road, 30 weekends a year or, stuff like that. Hard questions that we're obviously interested in, but also some fun stuff. So, yeah, I love it.
So I just
So,
figured I'd bring that up. I thought about that over the weekend. I'm like, huh, that's just something new.
yeah. So, obviously high limit, as we mentioned, they're getting into the heart of the schedule here. They're going to start ramping it up here. Shortly, you're going to start seeing just about every weekend you'll be able to catch them live on Flow. So if you're not following along the series, it's not too late. But get in while you can. So we don't have anything else in that. Let's do a 180. Let's go back to some asphalt here. Cars late model stocks at Orange County. Um,
We had a couple storylines coming out of this one.
Yeah, we had some storylines coming out of this one, to say the least. Um,
yeah.
I guess there's enough storylines that we all can pick one. What's where you guys want to start? You guys can pick a storyline and we'll start there.
I was gonna say I have to talk about Landon Hoffman.
Yeah, we didn't even make it to lap 2. And for the 15, you feel bad for him. I understand he was upset in the moment. He had a little conversation with Landon Hoffman, who went over and tried to explain to him what went on, because Hoffman obviously had gotten into the 15, which
Yep.
absolutely junked that race car. But obviously a little fired up in the heat of the moment, and he's apparently just some big idiot from Claremont, and they had a little conversation, but Hoffman had enough to say about his RNS race car.
So Matt Weaver said something about that as well. I'm gonna try and pull it up. But the gist of it was, he said one thing that really just kind of made me chuckle was anytime a driver throws some bitch in their interview, it makes them feel like a WWE promo, and he absolutely loves it.
Yeah, I did. I forget exactly, but I did see old Weave's tweet on that. But yeah, Landon Hoffman is, I mean,
That hub. So
I
for those that are listening, he had the hub right front hub broke, and that kind of got him into the 15. But that hub had 3 races on it.
yeah, and obviously we've alluded to the year that Landon Hoffman has had. And correct me if I'm wrong, he went back to an old car. This
Yeah,
was
he went back to his own race car. He was driving someone else's car that was stickered up, but he went back to his race car.
correct to
Okay.
hopefully get right
Yeah,
and get some sort of confidence, and then something like this happens. And yeah, his obviously his post race interview when he said he went over to apologize, and whoever it was, the 15 said, "Yeah, it's always something breaks with you." So
yeah.
obviously, it's you hate that torn up. We hate to have torn up race cars, but the
Especially,
nightmare season just continues for Landon Hoffman. I mean, between him and Sam Mayer, we're having an
Lane
absolute
Riggs.
tough. Lane Riggs is another one. Mayer has turned it around, obviously.
oh,
But between Lane Riggs and Landon Hoffman, Riggs in the truck series and Hoffman and his late model, just an utter nightmare.
It's
I
something
mean,
too when RNS is there working on Bobby McCarty's car, and you call him out like that as well.
Yeah.
yep. He said, "Yep, I'm done." He finished the interview. "Yep, I'm done with them. I'm going to take that car back and unload it at their front porch and walk away. That's all." Or he said, "That's all, or that's it. That's
That's
it."
all.
And he walked away. All right. Message received.
Yeah. So obviously, just a tough go of it and some serious frustration for Hoffman, but I mean, this race, we dropped the green and it didn't take long for us to throw yellow. Lap one, um, Logan Clark goes up in smoke. Not only
Oh,
smoke, but he got a little bit warm too. A little bit of a fireball action.
like you were saying, destroyed that car.
Yeah, they flat nosed it pretty hard. Yeah, I was again. That's we talk. I feel like we talk about this almost weekly. You're just glad to see him get out of the car.
Yep.
He hit hard.
Yeah. So you have that on lap one, and then not only that, but you follow it up in lap two, we're back under yellow. So tough start to that race. But obviously once it got rolling here, McCarty had the field covered for the time being
He had a hell of a car.
He had a
Hell of a
yeah.
car.
When somebody says they had a piece, he had a piece. Like
until he did
he, correct. Until he didn't. And
not by
that
his
was
own.
correct. And it was terrible how that played out. I mean,
Yeah.
the dude was just running away from the field.
It's
I
something too when you get wrecked from the lead and it's not even uh with a good number of laps to go.
yeah.
I mean, he got spun with 36 to go from second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously another storyline here, and then they had a little post race chat. Um,
Yeah, him and Connor Zillage, who could seem to do no wrong for a little while there in the race car. And I don't know if the pressure got to be a little bit much there in the heat of the crowd, but hey,
Misjudged it or whatever it was.
yeah.
yeah,
He got right in there on that left rear, and that was the night for McCarty.
that's beginning and
Unfortunately.
the end. Yep. But yeah, kind of wrapping this up. Wapple. Um, I
Yow.
know, I know. Well, they do sometimes, but it's almost like he was trying to go for a end of line challenge that didn't exist there, but or a hard charger in the dirt late model world. But he goes 21st to third. Obviously a really solid run for him. So
At a track that the announcers were saying all night was pretty tough to pass on. So
yeah,
Quaffle obviously did not have that issue.
And they haven't been there. The car store hadn't been there in 3 years.
Yep.
So not a lot of data from like Quapple, who probably had not even ever been there
Yeah,
um,
probably.
prior to, or at least been there in a late model stock prior to um, that event.
and I
So
mean sometimes that's I mean sometimes that might just be that fits some people better. Just show up at a track, don't overthink it. Here's a track
yeah,
it's similar to. Go do it.
what you don't know can be your best weapon in the chamber, you know.
Yep.
Yep. And obviously he's in good equipment. We'll give you a good setup. Here's is similar, and then here's the strategy. And obviously he's in that car for a reason. He's damn good at what he does. And hey, put you in a
Yeah.
good car. We'll give you a good setup. Go do what you do best. Drive this.
So Cam, you'll Van Grohl and I were talking about this yesterday at the race. Something to think about. We were talking about this just in terms of the structure of how the Cars Tour runs things. Um, you qualify, they handle provisionals, and they line up and race.
Yep.
There's no dashes, there's no last chances. You qualify, you line up, they handle the provisionals, you push the cars to the grid. There's no dashes, there's no racing for spots. So I've been kind of thinking about that a little bit. That's been an interesting one to me and how they and the national tour kind of has that feel, but they also have the redraw where the
Yeah.
cars doesn't.
Yeah, they just go straight up off of qualifying.
They go straight up off of qualifying. They hand out their provisionals and they say, you know what? Sorry,
You're not it, and you're not in it.
correct. And they said I think they said there were 2 cars that weren't going to make the feature. And they sent 2 cars home. Like, a rule's a rule. And that would be why now that I look back on this, that would be why that night that Stephen Assey ran didn't make the feature. Couldn't qualify in, couldn't get it. He wasn't in line for a provisional. They said, sorry, buddy, load it up. So a little bit of an interesting thought. I've been kind of stewing on that. When we talk about the next Cars Tour race, I'm going to have a little more on that, but that's been kind of in the back of my mind from a money standpoint, from a wear on equipment standpoint, that's just been kind of brewing a little bit. So
Yeah.
I've been scratching my head on that a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was kind of
Interesting.
my last standing point on the Cars Tour.
And interesting. I mean, it's an interesting dynamic. Really makes you be. Don't want to say the old paralysis by analysis, but there's no Q trim in that rate. There's no, hey, we're just gonna trim it for qualifying, or we're
You
we'll
got to have
trim it
both setups.
You gotta have both, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's a balancing act. But obviously, good race once it got going. As we mentioned, storyline, but somebody we've mentioned on the podcast a couple times already in the last couple weeks. Brent Cruz gets the win. We've talked about Caden Honeycutt. He's made a name for himself. Asphalt, dirt, whatever it is. And then we talked Quapple finishes third. Hall, Burrow, and Hettinger rounds out your top 5. So some heavy hitters there in the top 5. And yeah, just a good race.
Of note too, especially the Quaffle, he's still coming back from missing the race last weekend as well. So he's kind of digging himself out of a hole as far as point standings go. Currently 29 points back. Obviously a long season yet to go, so he's got a chance to make it all up. But
We'll
that'll
see what
be
happens.
interesting to watch.
We see what happens with that 88 because he's back in that again this weekend.
Sure.
He's back with Junior Motorsports Xfinity car this weekend, so you
Well,
never
they're
know.
off this weekend, I believe.
But I'm just saying, in the future endeavors, that
Oh,
if
yeah.
Junior would call and say, "Hey, I know you got that Cars Tour thing, but I got a little bigger deal you could probably drive for me if you want to." So,
And I know we talked about that in the past about what are the chances that he fills one of them cars one of these days.
He's in the pipeline. So
Yep.
absolutely.
So, yeah, obviously a good race. A lot of storylines. The Landon Hoffman nightmare continues. And so we'll see what the next race brings. But I don't have any other final thoughts. Quick hitter here. We just love taking people in the spin zone. Let's go back on the dirt. Let's go back on the dirt here and just hit a quick hitter on the World Outlaws sprint cars. They were in action this past weekend, and somebody who we were just talking about, if it was last week or the week before, about it only takes one to get hot, and Sheldon Haudenschild puts on a show, and somebody who is made a name for himself in, I believe it's wingless sprints. But he's fortunate enough to hop in one with a wing. Brady Bacon steps onto the scene. So I'll just kick it off to you guys quick. Throw you a couple quick hitters on that, and what your thoughts were.
Sprint car side of things, no, it's good to see both of them guys win. Obviously, like you were saying, Haudensschild's kind of riding some momentum. He's been winning some races here recently. Brady Bacon kind of stealing one away from the Outlaw guys. He's 2 for 2 at Tri-State with the Outlaws as well, to make note of. So, otherwise, the big one that came out of this one, David Gravel wrecks on night 1. Him and Cole Foy had gotten a little bit of a confrontation on the track. But Gravel couldn't, or not Gravel, Shots couldn't capitalize on the point situation. So it ended up kind of washing out that
Yeah.
even with gravel record on night one, he had a great night two. Shots just kind of ran mid plane throughout the week and just never really gained any ground on him. So, no, the gravel's now got something on Colfoyd. So Colfoyd may be raced a little bit harder now. And then late models just could not stay away from the rain.
Yeah.
And
Got
obviously,
it
I
ruined.
saw some, not only that, but some frustration on the late model side from
Especially
drivers.
Saturday night. For sure,
Yeah.
Saturday night.
And just some frustration on the guys going, literally everybody knew when it was going to rain at the exact time, at the exact location. And
You
they did
still,
nothing,
yeah,
they did nothing about it. They said, gonna rain at 7:30. Yeah, we'll fire hot laps up at 7, as everybody knows. So obviously there's some frustration there from some of the drivers, which understandably so. It's move the program up, do what you can to put on the best, make the most of what you're given.
yep.
And so,
Because now what they ended up doing that now you get that problem with trying to reschedule that, which they did all the way out till September.
yep,
Mhm.
And it took a date away
yep.
from,
Right.
and I forget the track name, but they took a date away from one of the tracks. So,
Yeah.
So
but
Yeah.
yeah, obviously, there was some, um, if you don't have social media or X, get on it and follow some of these guys. There are some obviously some interesting takes on after the wrecks and what's clean, what's not clean, respect and stuff like that. So it's obviously super interesting when you can read David Gravel was throwing a couple points out, and I forget who he was going back and forth with, but interesting to read, obviously, and um, yeah, that'll be an interesting storyline, Gravel and Kofoid, because those are two guys that are a mainstay on the World Outlaws, and pretty early in the year for us to be having something like that. So,
very early in the year.
For
any other
sure.
final thoughts on the old World Outlaws?
Nope.
Back at it again next weekend.
You bet.
It's the old adage, just go back at it.
Yep.
So, yeah, but if we got no other final thoughts, we went dirt, asphalt, dirt. Let's follow suit. Let's go back to asphalt. Um, and one of the main topics for this week, we had some boots on the ground at world's fastest quarter mile, Miracle at the High Banks. Our tire changer and our jack man. We had boots on the ground. So ASA Midwest Tour was at Slinger, was not there, but thankful that our tire changer, he hooks a
You
buddy up with some subscriptions that we don't have. So
you sent that text of, hey, so since you're at the track, dot dot dot. I knew exactly what you're looking for. I'm like, yep, just
quick. So I just gotta throw this out there quick. Last year, about a year ago, I didn't have Flow Racing, and I'm preparing for that annual subscription that's going to hit on May 16th for $158 on the credit card.
well
But
worth.
last year, let's just quick story. I had Van Grohl's
Glory.
Flow Racing, and it was a high limit race. And I was watching it on my TV, and he was trying to watch, and so we kept booting each other out. But I put a tweet out on X because the stream was so shitty, it was lagging. And he screenshots my tweet calling out Flo for a shitty stream, sends it in our group chat, and said, "Hey, is this a reason why I'm getting booted out?" And I'm like, damn it. So yeah, I was at that moment that I said, all right, I just got to pony up and do it. So no, but obviously I'm super thankful that you do let me use when I'm not there. So wasn't there but got to watch it.
I'm glad my spending of foolish money is coming in handy for you.
Yeah. But obviously, we had some big names in a big race. So boots on the ground. I watch it on the stream, but what initial thoughts do you guys have?
Burley's got a little chippy.
Yeah, I'm gonna back up because this is my first trip to Slinger. TV doesn't do that place justice. That place, the banking is intense. We were sitting in like the sixth row up in the bleachers, and it felt like you were on the racetrack.
Yep.
Like that place is intense. That it just the broadcast, you look at it and the camera's way up high and it kind of looks down on the track and you can see it and whatever, but that place just broadcast doesn't do it justice.
I was curious what your reaction was going to be. I've obviously been there a good number of times, so I know what to expect, but
So we walked in that gate 4 over on turn 2 or turn 1. We walked in, we walked right down the ramp, and we walk in and the prolates are out practicing. And I walk right by the fence, and I'm literally 3 feet from cars on the track.
yep.
Right by the start finish line. I mean, you were right on top of everything. But yeah, badass place.
I can't wait for you to see the Nationals, but we'll
I
get
know.
to that when we cross that bridge.
Yeah. But back to the prolates. Yeah, by the way.
No, it was pretty calm there for a little bit, but then Gutnick and John Reynolds kind of
They,
got into it with each other.
some would even say extracurriculars after the checkered flu.
I saw that too, right as they crossed the finish line. I'm like, boy, Gutnick's right on Reynolds. He ain't letting up. And he go into one, he gives him a little nudge, and they're just brake checking each other and door slam, and it's just yikes.
And it's not funny, but it's always like when the instigator does more damage to their car than they do to the person they were intending to do.
Yep.
You're talking about it was the O1 and then it was the yellow X, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
Reynolds,
and
the X
those
was in front,
yeah,
just
and
brake checked Gutnick, who was bumping him going all through one, showing his displeasure. He ends up with a bent nose, and Reynolds just comes away with a little scratch.
yeah, his
Yeah.
front end was just bent up like this and it was yeah. But the stream didn't I guess pay a ton of attention to it, but the announcers were like this was 25 or 30 laps in the making, these two just racing each other
Oh
hardcore
yeah.
and all take and no give. And I don't know. You hate to see extracurriculars like that. It's like,
Probably the,
well, I guess
it,
I don't hate to see it if you're gonna do it and you smash your own stuff up.
Yeah.
you got to think, we've talked about this too. That's probably the first time in a long time that we've seen an outlash a little bit up
Yeah.
here.
Especially with cars. You
Correct.
don't see guys wrek each other.
Yeah, we've talked about this on our other episodes of how the Midwest is, and just haven't seen that. But I think guys got some tempers, and you have to remember. And I was thinking about this too on Sunday. Is John Reynolds he's been a Rockford guy, so he's potentially looking for a home, and he came in and was racing some guys tough, and they maybe didn't appreciate that.
Slinger is one of those tracks too that stuff happens fast. I mean, you are tight quarters to
Yeah,
boot too.
yeah, that's the old jet fighters in the gym.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
but no, good race. Jeff Holtz ended up winning that race.
Yep. Kind of just held his own. Prunty was coming, and Zach, I should say Zach Prunty was coming on and just held his own.
Yeah, just couldn't quite get it fired on the outside.
Who finished second?
God, it wasn't Prunty because he fell back third.
No.
Let me just pull it up.
Damn, who was it?
Yeah, I think it was Black 19.
No, it was the 17. Um, God dang it, who was in that car? I don't remember now.
Oh, was it Grant Griesbach? No.
Nope, that was in the supers.
Oh, Billy Braun.
Billy Braun, correct.
Billy
Yep,
Braun.
yep, yep,
Yep.
yep.
He's a 19-year-old.
Yes.
What
Yeah, yep.
he was some young guy,
Yeah, Billy Braun.
and
Yeah.
I hate to do this, but
No, so Zach Prunty was second, and then Reynolds was third. So something we must have missed something in tech then,
Oh,
because Reynolds never came down for an interview.
no. They sent them off because it was Holtz, the 17, and then it was Prunty.
Yeah.
Oh,
So something must have happened in tech that we didn't hear about.
yeah. Ooh.
Great way to start the year.
That's also a good update for us who didn't catch that at the racetrack or it wasn't mentioned.
um,
I'm checking their social medias right now to see if they had anything, but
Yeah, because it was definitely it was the 88 of Holtz, the 17 of Billy Braun, and then Prunty in that sharp looking 39.
yep. But
Hmm.
either way, good race. But of course, the main event was the ASA Midwest Tour race.
Yeah, that was the old main event of the evening. It started in qualifying.
We were wondering because they had mentioned the track record. We're like, I don't know if we're gonna get to that point because they were a tenth, a little over a tenth off in practice
Yep,
from the track record.
yep.
So we're sitting there we're like, I don't know, it'll get close maybe, but I don't think it'll get broken.
The
And
first
then
one I
what do
got
we go?
Kraus won a two.
We ran a
He
two
went
eight,
a 2.8, 11.28, and then oh,
which
Prunty
I
might
thought was a damn good lap.
it was because he was quick time at the time, and then Prunty was the car right after him,
Yep.
and he broke the track record.
At a 2-0.
Yeah, 11.20.
And then Vandergeest came out and tied it.
I think
yep.
was Vandergeest he wasn't the last car, but he was one of the very last
One
ones.
of the fewer last ones, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so you got you and what are the odds these two guys tie on the third number?
Yeah.
So Prunty gets the nod
Because he
because
went out
he's the
first.
first car out, correct? So when you go check the Slinger Midwest Tour record board, there's going to be two of them there, which is pretty crazy.
Yep. But and it's just to think they're pulling laps there at 11-2.
Yeah.
Things happen quick.
Yep.
So had a couple guys ended up going to last chance race as well that we didn't exactly expect to.
Yeah.
Sommers,
Farrell,
Bueller, Farrell,
Cody King.
Cody King. Yep. You had quite a few guys that ended up in that last chance race that made those two last chance races that made them good races.
Mondyke.
On Dyke, yep.
The 47.
Stenjum, yep.
Yep. Took a provisional. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that last chance is a hell was that's a hell of a feature anywhere you go.
Yep. That's what 35 cars will do too.
For sure.
36. My bad. 36.
36, 36. But yeah, I mean, and even the last chances, there's a little push and shoving too.
Yep.
So well, it was tough. I mean, you got the likes of Farrell, Cody King, neither of them made the feature.
Yeah. Then ultimately, when you get into the race, Slinger's always been a track, especially when you get to longer features like that of attrition, just trying to stay in it. And Dietz was saying even behind us, that track tears up equipment.
Yep.
And we saw that from a few guys.
Yep. DeStefano, he was not happy with who was he not happy with?
The 97, I believe.
Oh, it was that blue and black yellow or blue and black 91.
Oh, yeah,
Schaefer. Jonathan
Schaefer.
Schaefer. Yep.
Yep.
Schaefer. Yeah,
Yep.
the guy that's driving for Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah,
And he was
he
happy.
obviously in that did he come through last chance too?
No, he qualified in.
Or he had a car that looked very similar to his, but um yeah, he was obviously pretty animated on the track. And I was
Through his helmet.
obviously threw his helmet a little bit, not at anybody, just up in the air. But I threw that in the chat too. Interesting strategy, but he just said they interviewed him before the race. And he said he had a bad fast car, and he said his plan was to ride around for 40 laps, just get the feel of it, settle in, and with 60 to go, start picking them off one at a time. And so, um, obviously, gets knocked out pretty early, doesn't even get a chance to show the speed that he had, and then um, pretty animated on his mid race interview after they interviewed him middle of the race and just said, sucks when you show up to a track with good speed and you don't get an opportunity to get taken out by somebody who doesn't know how to drive. So,
Yikes.
uh, yeah, obviously not thrilled with the way it happened, and understandably so when you get taken out that early. So,
Yeah.
Another guy that struggled, and I mean it makes sense because it's probably one of his first appearances at the track, but also going from the highest to highs of winning last weekend to lows of just getting your teeth kicked in
Yeah.
Ty Fredrickson.
Yeah.
That's that's one of those tough lesson moments.
Yeah, they were they Cam, I don't know if you saw this on the broad stream. They were loaded up and the hauler was going out as Majeski was doing his interview. They wasted no time getting that car torn apart and in the box and out the door they went. But yeah, tough go of it for him. He pitted a couple different times. He kind of got tangled up. He kind of caught that, and I think it was the right front on that nose. Then the hood was
Yeah.
flopped. Well, then they pulled the fender out, and then they taped the hood down, and he kind of got caught in there again. And then the hood kind of came up, and at one point he just disappeared, and that was it.
They only spun at one point too.
Yeah.
He
Oh yeah,
spun.
going into two or
Yeah.
in one, he spun in a big way too. He had it backwards before he got into one, and he almost backed it up the banking to the wall.
Yup. Yup. So yeah, it's just
and
a rough going for him. But again, as youngster as he is, and probably his first time at Slinger, that's not an easy track to learn.
Nope.
no, and like you said, for a young guy at a track like that, things happen so quick, and it for him, for the race team, you know, for his confidence, for equipment, it's like sometimes it's like, hey, let's just cut our loss before you get ran up the track and we've got a really torn up race car. So, um, yeah, obviously it's racing. It's the world you live in. You can go from the highest highs to the lowest lows, and obviously steep learning curve for the young stallion.
Yep.
Be interesting to hear what old Pops was saying to him on the radio. I'm sure.
Which that sucked for us because they switched radios and we didn't get it.
Yeah, we couldn't
They
get him.
switched to a digital radio.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that would have been would have loved to have been a fly in the helmet for that conversation.
Oh God. Oh God.
But
Some
pull
other
that
guys
son of a
that
bitch in, we're leaving.
yeah, that's about it. That's about probably how it went. Some other guys that struggled.
Get off the fucking track.
Yeah. Nick Egan, he took a pretty solid pancake lick coming off of two.
Yeah, he got loosened up there a little bit, and the I don't know if it's the good or the bad part, but he hit that wall square with the side of that
Yeah.
race.
Well, and I tuned in his radio. I don't know if you clicked on him on time, but I tuned in. He's like, they asked him, "You all right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Just knocked my breath out,"
Yeah,
with some curse words around it.
he hit that wall. He with that right side of the race car. He hit it square. It wasn't a tail nose whack.
Yeah, that was,
He shipped that up, and that thing got squared up to the
yep.
wall.
And just destroyed the Panar bar on it too, and race
He
was done from there.
that one sat in the infield until they got the flatbed out after the feature was over.
Yep. Brad Mueller also didn't have a great day. Grant Griesbach didn't have a great day. RJ Braun. I mean, guys that typically run good at Slinger, just not great days.
Yeah. RJ, side note on RJ, brakes.
Oh, is that
Oh,
what it was?
yep.
Sure.
He's got a text. Brake pedal to the floor. That's
Yikes.
all the
That's
text said.
not good for Slinger.
Yeah. So that was the side note there. He lost. He didn't have any brakes.
Um, no, another point for that too. Gabe Sommers had to come in from the last chance. Uh, made his way up to ninth. Stayed out
Yeah.
of trouble, took advantage of the attrition, and made his way up to ninth.
No, for sure.
And
But it's
somebody
a
who,
workman-like day.
yeah, and somebody who had a provisional and didn't have to run the last chance qualifier, but said,
Yep.
F that, we're gonna race our way in.
Well, we saw that at Dell's last weekend too.
Oh,
So guys maybe are taking a little bit different approach to these provisionals.
for sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I forget who was hounding him in that last chance race. He was his back bumper, he had a full rear view mirror. Mueller.
oh
Somebody,
yeah.
yeah,
Because
he was,
he runs a dirt late model too, and he had that right rear was hanging out, and they always say loose is fast, but he was driving the wheels off of that thing
Yes,
to
he
try to
was.
get
And
there.
again, a guy that knows how to get around Slinger.
Yeah, he was
so
busting it to try to get there.
yeah. And then he does get in the show. And then he dips out a little bit early. So um again, just another tough day for some of these guys where you show up and it just feels like you can't get anything right. Um, and that's racing. But um getting into the race a little bit, Ty Majeski, it was 11 years to the day on Sunday that his race team, they officially formed that race team with him and Noodleman. So obviously that pairing has been dominant over the years. And anytime he comes back to Wisconsin, um, it's going to
Oh,
be a
he
favorite.
goes straight to the top of the board as far as favorites.
Yeah. It's going to be a favorite to win it. So he grabs the lead on lap 21 and didn't have a chance to look back because he was too busy looking forward at that hood that was buckling.
Well,
Little,
he also had a half a track lead.
I know, but
Yeah,
little bit of a sketchy situation there with his hood popping.
that was
Um,
Monday.
Yep.
wrinkly, yeah, and
Kind of a teammate, kind of not.
he
Yeah.
actually
Not
had
yet,
that.
but
When did he have that? Majeski had it was, I think it was an ASA race last year when his hood came up and he was driving around the track with his hood up.
Oh,
And then he parked it on the track to get a caution.
yeah. What the hell race? It was,
What
yeah, I
race
remember
was it?
that.
But anyways, I was having a flashback to that
Yep.
as his
that's
hood's getting
Nashville.
wrinkled. And what
Nashville.
was it?
When he got caught in that wreck. Yeah, when they oiled down one going into one, and they wrecked 3/4 of the field. That was Nashville.
Yep, that's right.
I'm pretty
Yep.
certain.
So was having flashbacks there as he's got that hood right, that his right front's wrinkled up, and it's like, just hold on. But he was dominant. And that as the race kind of went on, we finally got settled in, got that long green flag run that
We were so desperately wanting.
correct.
Yep. But Majeski and doing Majeski things just pulled away.
Yeah. You just
Wasn't even
walked.
close.
Yeah, you just walked the field.
So I mean, it
Yeah.
was pretty much a race for second, and those guys that were racing for second were fighting with lap traffic, so they never really could get side by side either.
No.
Um, yeah, and he was that was really anybody's only chance was for him to get caught in lap traffic or a caution to come out and re-rack him. And just never happened. So he wins by 6.281 seconds. Which in Slinger terms, that's about a little more than half a lap.
Yep.
Gives us the old Polish victory lap as well.
Yep.
For sure.
But so he wins the race. The old 17K Max Kaler finishes third.
Held his own up front.
Did hold his own.
Started on the front row.
Did good.
So yeah, he held his own. Another Central Wisconsin native and late model guy, Luke Fenhouse finishes third. Alex Prunty finishes fourth, and Derek Kraus finishes fifth. That rounds out your top five. DeAngelis, Apel, Keith, Summers, Vandergeese rounds out the top 10. So
There's only, correct me if I'm wrong, there's 9 cars that finished on the lead lap, correct?
Correct.
yep.
Correct.
So Majeski pretty much had the field covered.
The only
Yeah.
way anybody had a chance was a caution.
Yep.
Correct.
So
Yeah, for sure. So you talked about in the race preview, these guys that are looking for some data on this new tire at Slinger,
got their chance.
they got their chance to see what it would do on both fire off speed and on the long run. So
And like you guys said, I mean, this is some of these guys that had tough days. This is a trial run for July. Hey, we want to win this, but more importantly, when it comes time for July for the big one, we want to make damn sure we're qualifying in on time. So, so some of these guys that had a tough day, you know,
there's some positive takeaways. It wasn't all
Yep,
bad.
100%. I was just gonna say, even though some of these guys had a rough day of it, they still got data for when they come back of even if it's things not to do.
Yep.
You can at least unload and say, hey, this is where we can start, and we know it won't be worse than the last time we were here. So I think that's often overlooked when some of these guys have, tough days like this. They're not wasted. Still got a lot of data and getting ready for the big show in July. But
Yep.
we'll give a quick shout out too as we wrap this up. Old Kraus, quick qualifying time, then he goes 12th to 5th.
Yeah, good day.
Another workman-like day. DeAngelis had at the end there, he had, at least from the live stream, looked like he had just a missile. But he couldn't dice through lap traffic as quick as he
Yep.
needed to.
Yeah.
But in the live stream, it was like, I'm just like Kraus, just top 5 sounds good. And you're just watching DeAngelis, and now maybe DeAngelis waited a little bit too long to go, or I don't know what it was, but his car came to life late. And I was watching him, I'm like, oh my gosh, DeAngelis, but he just could not knife through lap traffic quick enough.
Yeah.
So yeah. Any other final thoughts on Miracle at the High Banks, at the fastest quarter mile in the world?
No, it was good.
Yeah.
Glad to check another one off the box there to finally get to see that that place in person.
You're getting there for my list.
Yeah, we're working on it.
So yeah, obviously, fantastic race, a lot of big names, awesome, awesome race. And yeah, like we said, that'll be a preview for the big one in July. Some guys got some good data, and the one in July is gonna be, that'll be a doozy. So we don't have anything else. Let's stick right on the asphalt, and let's go right to Cup Series. restrictor plate racing this past weekend. No shortage of storylines. Well, I should say not as many storylines, but
Those
yeah,
the
you
line
guys are
storylines that we have are big ones.
correct.
Yeah.
So you guys obviously were at the racetrack. Don't know how much you guys, if you guys were able to watch any of it, or if you watched some highlights, but um, yeah, I guess I'll kind of kick things off. It was, I don't know. We'll have to check the Gluck poll to see how it was doing, but
Gotta
Well,
it
scramble.
was
Everyone scrambles to grab their phones.
So, but to that point,
let's start there because I've had a lot of mixed I've seen a lot of mixed reactions to the race. And obviously there wasn't a caution until stage 3. So
I listened to the race. I listened to last, call it 40 laps, maybe 30 laps of the race on the radio. First off, radio call, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I literally had goosebumps for like the last 10 laps from the way that they were calling it. So absolutely fantastic. Um, Obviously the fuel saving was the discussion as well amongst it. And that brings a lot of discussion. So I'm gonna read Carson Holzevard, kind of piggybacking off of the Jeff Gluck poll here.
That's a
Um,
Gen 8.
what's that?
nobody missed it.
Get that shit out of here. I wondered what that was. Garbage.
Oh
EV
my
Gen 8 if we're going to
gosh.
be so concerned about saving fuel.
What a touch on the background in there.
I didn't notice that. That's
I
fantastic. That goes
couldn't
back
read it.
to
I
I
know
figured it
it
was
was
one
hard
of
to
his
read.
like book inspirational quotes of like,
yeah.
his thing. But I'm like, look at that. I'm like, EV. I'm like, there's a big B on the end. I'm like, what the hell is that?
That goes
Yeah.
back to what was the one ESPN show that the guy had the chalkboard and wrote something on it?
PTI.
Yeah, that's it.
I
God.
threw it up there, yeah, and I wrote it in blue, and you couldn't read it at all, so I had to go over it with black, and it turned out green. But yeah, it says EV Gen 8 if we're going to be so concerned about saving fuel.
That's a hot take. I love it.
Where did you
I
find
love
that?
it.
I was just sitting here before I hopped online. I'm like, I should put something on this whiteboard about knowing what we were.
You got to do that every week now.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll keep throwing some stuff up there. So
We got to get it adjusted so you can read it, so no one has to like look
Yeah.
at it. You just read it and
I
go.
know I should have. I was trying to get. I didn't want to make it once I started, and I realized it wasn't. You couldn't read it. I didn't want to make it obvious and like pull myself in, but
That was good.
yeah.
All right, get
So,
back
All
to
right,
the race.
back to planet Earth here.
Let's get back to planet Earth.
Carson, I want to throw out what Carson Holzbar said here real quick because he doesn't necessarily touch on the fuel saving, but he kind of talks about how the race was. Just said, "Hi Jeff, I had fun. I'd like to run wide open, but I'd rather be able to pass like we can because when we were wide open, you couldn't pass at the end. So brings in a little bit of the arrow blocking into it. Only main concern is I had no idea where I finished for 20 minutes because there were no pylons, which that's a whole nother discussion in its own right. Also, you saw his teammate flipped and said, "Please see attached video."
Oh, the cars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the passing part was very interesting for me because it seemed like and it was probably more of the front runners were able to get the runs and take advantage of them, but the guys in the back couldn't do anything just because the lines weren't moving.
Yeah,
So
and
to
they
go
were
on that
probably
real quick. Jeff Gluck, good race, yes or no? 58% yes. 58-42 on 29,300 votes.
Which I'm going to be intrigued to see the final results and how that ranks amongst other Dega polls.
With 12 hours left to go.
So there was a while in that race where they were running 3 wide. And from a spectator point of view or a commoner, you watch the 3 wide and you're like, shit, they're 3 wide. And like Carolyn was like, oh, they're way too close and there's too many cars together. Like something's going to happen. But when they're 3 wide, like nobody was pushing hard. Like you could like they're just riding around three wide. Nobody's pushing hard. Nobody's, whatever. It's three lines. One guy changes a lane, but outside of that, it was pretty anticlimactic until stage three, until you get your first caution with Bell and Haley bring out the first caution. And then shortly after, the
Bubba Hamlin
Toyotas,
and Eric Jones, the Toyotas.
an absolute
Disaster.
disaster for the Toyota camp.
If there's one thing you can't do when you're single file like that is wreck.
Each other.
Each other.
Oh,
And it was obviously Eric Jones took
hard.
brutal hit there.
For those that heard the in-car audio shortly after that wreck, he was a hurting.
Yeah.
If you want to go find it, it's out on the Twitter. Jeff Gluck's got it as well. But that one didn't feel comfortable listening to.
No, and he actually, when they released him from the infield care center, they actually took him to the hospital outside, and then he was released about noon today. They said 11:30 or so.
Yeah, so
So he went for a little further evaluation, and you could hear in his voice, he was distressed, to say the least.
And anytime you're on a super speedway and somebody gets on your right rear, you just hold your breath.
yep.
Because you could see those guys tail end started getting wiggly, and all of a sudden he goes down and somebody gets caught on his right rear, Bubba or whoever it was, and sends him right rear straight up the track. And just a complete nightmare. So thankfully he was able to walk away. Obviously from I think what I saw tonight before I hopped on seems to be okay. Everything was precautionary, but yeah, that was really the only two cautions in the race
Other than that big
until
one.
obviously the big one. And so McDowell,
Hey,
but
You
he
can
was trying
block
to,
once, but you can't block twice. It's been like that for years.
and
Everybody's been guilty of it.
yeah, he made that thing like he tried to make it 5 wide.
The problem was that when he came back down and he tried to correct it from there, that thing just simply tank swapped and just
yeah,
kicked it around from there. Keselowski never touched him on the bottom side, at least.
yeah.
Correct.
And you're looking at somebody, Keselowski. What more does a guy have to do?
Oh,
Back to back P2s.
And I think you can hear it, not dejected, but his winless streak, he wants to put an end to it.
I
And
don't
you
even
could
think
hear
he just wants to win in his own car.
and you could hear it in his post-race interview. They said, Brad, another solid run for you. And he said, yeah, it was another solid run, but we want wins. And so,
He knows they're capable of it.
yep.
And it's
And
just it's the racer's dejection
yeah,
Yeah.
of knowing you're there and you just can't finish it off.
yep. But not only that, strong day from the Ford camp.
Mhm.
Obviously, they're still winless, but for a while there, it was Ford's up the wazoo up there. McDowell, Keselowski, Gregson, Josh
Pagano.
Berry, Briscoe was up there for a bit. Cindric won a stage. Busher, yeah. Ford's obviously were strong, but come up winless. So I guess I'm gonna just fire this question. Where are we at with the fuel saving issue?
I want to make so I was listening to the Pulse Race show on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio Channel 90. I had to get that plug in there. Brad Gilly, there was a caller that came in and talked about why don't some of the independent teams or guys that have really nothing to lose and know that maybe a super speedway race is their only opportunity to win, like like a Rick Ware, like a Colleague, like a I don't know who else you want to throw out there, but why don't they just go away from the norm, get together, run like all hell, and make everybody else make a decision?
Yeah. Force the hand of the big guy.
Yep.
I mean, so you saw it on, I didn't get to listen to Denny's Actions Detrimental, but he's obviously a polarizing figure in our sport,
He's a very vocal individual.
and he's pissed. Not pissed, but he's frustrated. Like he's like, I want to race. I want to go all out. I want to be pedal to the metal. And he's like, I just can't.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take credit for this. I think it was Toby Christie on Twitter or X. Do you want to know what we should do?
Listening.
You got to make minimum speed if you got damage on your car.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
You don't want to, if you run a certain lap time slower than this, or you're running a speed lower than this, no warning. Send her to the trailer.
I mean, yikes. That's
I mean, you got to make minimum speed if you got damage on your car.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we're talking about at points in the race where you're running lap times that are 3 seconds slower than qualifying laps.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
just
yeah. So how do
So
you,
guys aren't racing. So, hey, I think his idea was minimum lap time. If you run a lap time, if you are in a pack and you have a minimum lap time, here's the minimum lap time. Because I think qualifying laps were 49 seconds. And at points in the race, I think they were running 53-second laps.
well,
I'm trying to find. Yeah, so I'm looking at some of them here. There was a 54, there's a 52-3, a 52-8, a 53-5,
Should be illegal.
a 52-9. For the record,
Could you
uh,
imagine?
qualifying's fast time was a 52-6.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
What are you wowing about?
I gotta look at my.
Technical difficulties. I don't know. It's just somebody's got to shake the strategy up, I think. It's just got to
sure.
be, you got to get a group of people. Well, the other thing too is like at the end of that race, they were trying to get that third lane going and it just broke up.
Yeah.
So again, prevented the opportunity of passing.
That third lane, Kellen, just critical error for us. That third lane, Kyle Busch goes up. It's forming. There's probably like 3 or 4 laps to go, probably 4 laps to go. Kyle Busch pulls up to the third lane. He's probably eighth or ninth. He pulls up to the third lane. The third line is organizing. Gibbs pulls up to the third line, gets loose, breaks the third line. Literally, Busch went from like 8th to 28th in one lap. It was an absolute it's terrible. But yeah, I don't know what the solution is.
No.
So
Because
So
I
if you get
forget
out
who
there,
mentioned this.
so if you get out there and you run it wide open and you get a group of guys, hey, you get Penske and RFK and Rick Ware that said, hey, we don't care what anybody else is doing. That thing is to the floor from the drop of the green. But then you're gonna just get your off strategy.
Yeah. The only thing I could
Everybody
think
else.
of, the only thing that I saw was, and again, this may not make much difference just because of it doesn't matter if it's a green flag stop or not, you're trying to gain time, but change the stage lengths.
Yeah,
Get it to the point where you could run, you could run full out type of thing on a stage, or it's okay, you're gonna get, I don't know, a tank and three quarters or something like that. You're gonna have
yeah,
just enough to make it on a green flag pit stop to be able to
yeah,
make it to the stage. I don't know. That was the other thing that I saw.
yeah. This is true too. Yeah, you could
So
change the stage lengths, which in turn doesn't necessarily change the way they drive per se. But if you know you're not going to make it, you might well push a little harder anyways. You know, I don't know.
it sucks. 'Cause super speed racing was always good. Now it's,
Eh,
yeah, especially Dega.
yeah.
So,
It's just so
uh,
wide, so much room they
I
can just
I
ride.
do want to say though, could you imagine? You want to know what'll keep you on the edge of your seat and keep that pedal to the floor? Knowing if you're not running a minimum lap speed or you're running the minimum lap time, they're gonna send you to the trailer.
You're hooked on that idea, aren't you?
Well, could I just so I'm just
I'd be more sold on it if there was a time penalty.
I'm just sitting here thinking about them telling Kyle Busch to bring it down pit road and send it to the trailer, and he's sitting there on pit road as that NASCAR official is in front of his car, and he's giving him the remember that. Oh gosh. I mean, it would be, I don't know. I think it'd be a nightmare. It'd be too hard to do. But I think, yeah, maybe that's an idea. Kind of an F1. Hey, here's a time penalty.
Yeah.
If you don't run a minimum lap speed, or you gotta come down pit road and park it for 10 seconds. Or
Yeah,
Or it gets taken off at the end of the race.
yeah.
yeah. What we're gonna do it.
They do it at road courses for cutting the course.
Yeah.
So,
And,
one more topic before we kind of wrap up here, and then we'll kind of hit the results real quick. Corey LaJoy went for a ride.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple tough ones.
Somebody made a post. I forget who it was. Somebody made a post with a picture of LaJoy riding the wall, and somebody said, "Corey, didn't you know that wall riding was banned last year?"
Yeah.
Obviously, good to see that he's okay as well. Obviously, it's not good when the car leaves the ground like that, but
Yeah, for sure. But
yeah,
how
that
about
was, I mean, you saw Josh Berry. He was in that. He had his
yep.
car. He was airborne. Um, yeah, that McDowell was just the way he was blocking there. You knew it was going to happen. What were you going to say, Cal?
how about where the guys actually finished? Like when we look at the race results, like the winner. Can we talk about that real quick? How that shakes things up a little bit?
Oh, with Reddick winning the race,
Yeah. Like, and then Brad K finished second, Gregson third, Stenhouse fourth. Like that
Bowman
part of
fifth.
the day.
Who I heard a stat since the Gen 7 car has come out on super speedways, he's been consistently top 10.
Not surprising. That's you gotta remember he's always been a front row guy at Daytona too.
Yep.
He was part of that streak there for a while of
Yep.
Hendrick sweeping the front row at Daytona.
Anthony Alfredo sixth, Byron seventh, Todd Gilliland eighth, Hamrick ninth, Burton 10th.
Yeah.
Good day for
Truex,
guys that you don't typically see up front.
yeah, Truex 11, Briscoe 12, Chastain 13, Priest 14, Elliott rounds out your top 15. So
Two quick hitters. Um, SHR.
back, baby.
We're I want to see him win a race before I say we're back.
I
But
just got to say that because I picked them in January.
uh,
Back.
yeah, but you're looking at somebody who, Barry was running up front. obviously Gregson was pushing Brad K the last stretch there. It was Gregson and Brad K locked on the bottom.
I know Briscoe led a little bit.
Briscoe led a little bit. Priest was up there in the mix. So another solid day for them. Gregson finishes P3. Obviously, still, I'm just pull up the points, 27th in points, which that penalty to start the year is going to be his Achilles heel for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But he's 27th in points. I'm pleasantly surprised with Gregson, to say the least.
The win is that
What?
a win changes that.
Yeah. So pleasantly surprised with Gregson and SHR. I think Gregson's going to be, if he keeps this up, he'll be, towards the end there, he'll be in that 16 to 18 range come the final cutoff at Darlington. So, it'll be interesting to see. And then last other thing I was going to say, don't think we hit on it last week after the Chase Elliott win, but when you just talked about it, but somebody that's got to be feeling some heat. Alex Bowman.
Yeah.
Everybody else in the camp has got to win already this year.
Yes, he getting a
And
little.
he's running well, but you still got to think that every time you go to a meeting, everybody's got to win except
He's currently 10th in points.
I know.
I'm looking at it.
Point standings, yes, it looks better than it is, but I'm saying internally at all the meetings and from perspective, as obviously HMS is wicked speed and everybody's got to win now. But I'm saying, yeah, he's 10th in points and he's solidly in, but do you think he's feeling
Larson
a little
has
pressure?
110 stage points.
Yeah, he doesn't mess around.
The next closest one is Ryan Blaney at 77.
That would be why Larson's currently leading the driver standings.
Correct. Wow.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
no, it'll be interesting to see obviously what comes out of this. Obviously, we'll have the God damn it, what the hell am I thinking of here? The Coke 0400 at Daytona later
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
We'll see what comes out of that.
See if they make any changes for that one.
Yep.
Yeah. Good race, though.
Spinhouse getting up there as well.
Yep. So, well, should we do some race previews?
Left him in the old garage of the fantasy lineup. So yeah, obviously, we're not serious about an EV Gen 8. Don't ever bring electric cars into NASCAR.
I don't know. You're the one that thought about it.
I mean, as Danny, just a little bit frustrated with the racing right now. Yeah, obviously we'll see what happens later this summer when we go back to Daytona, and then in the fall when we go back to Talladega. So without further ado, we'll hop into some quick hitters, some race previews. And Kellen, who's usually on asphalt, looks like he's going to be playing a little dirt this weekend.
Yeah, so Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series. They go to Smoky Mountain for the first time. They did not run there last year. They got a Saturday night 15 grand win one night show. Practice Friday, racing Saturday. Brandon Overton's your point leader. Chris Ferguson, Corey Hedgecock, Sam Seawright, Joyner Mills. All top 10 drivers are within 78 points of each other. So hell of a points battle there for the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series.
We're gonna stay right on the dirt, and I'm sorry I've been slacking on getting my race previews out. So time to turn this ship around. But we're gonna stay on the dirt. Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series. Give you a little Lucas Oil Heartbeat Hot Sauce Pit preview. Friday, April 26th, Georgetown Speedway, Melvin Joseph Memorial. Pay attention to this when you're considering your race pick. 49 laps, $19,049 to win. So a lot of 49s there in your race picks. Just remember that when you're thinking about it. And then Saturday they're going to April 27th to Hagerstown Speedway, 50 laps, 15,000 to win. And then yeah, points right now is RTJ, Jonathan Davenport, Moran, Huddy, Marler, and Dalton Wilson. So stay tuned for the race preview. We'll go a little bit deeper into what some of those guys have done, and stay tuned. And obviously, Huddy's teasing us a little bit with some Longhorn stickers. So stay tuned to some socials. We'll maybe hopefully drop that news soon.
Before we jump into NASCAR, I do want to touch on a few other races going on. High Limit, another midweek race is happening on the 23rd at Riverside International. You also got Southern Super Series in action this weekend. World Outlaws, of course, are in action this weekend. I'll be putting out a race preview for the World Outlaws here later this week, so keep an eye out for that. USAC is in action this weekend as well, as they have a doubleheader at Kokomo. And then NTT IndyCar is racing at Barber Motorsports Park as we get closer to the Indy 500. So a few other races going on this weekend. Obviously, no shortage of anything going on. But let's touch on Cup here a little bit, as they are racing at Dover, one of my favorite tracks. I like Dover a lot. You got ARCA, Xfinity, and the Cup Series there this weekend. Looking at last year, Truex ended up winning this race, beating Chastain, Blaney, Byron, Hamlin in your top 5, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Brad Cade in the top 8. A lot of guys that we talked about here at Dega up there in that top 8 from last year. Byron led 193 laps here last year, and Chastain led 98. So you got a couple of picks there, a couple options as far as drivers that could be hot. No, like I said, I've always enjoyed Dover. I think it's a track that definitely beats up on drivers a little bit. So yeah, stay tuned out for that. Obviously Sunday the Cup race will be on. And then Saturday is the ARCA race, and I believe Friday is the ARCA Menards race as well. It is a combined East and Menards race for ARCA as well. So fantasy wise though, we had a little shakeup in the standings this week, but we also didn't do too hot as a overall group. I've always said that if you score 200 points, you had a pretty good week. I don't think any of us scored 200 points this week.
I don't believe so either.
Pretty poorly.
Correct.
Good to see Kellen have a week below 100 points.
Yes, and that helps out a ton because your boy is now the points leader.
Eesh.
Sitting at a cool 200 back. But we're gonna just chip away 10 at a time.
Yep. So
I will say the roller coaster for somebody who's not at experienced a super speedway race, when I was watching the race, and Carolyn had McDowell in her lineup and coming to the white, and she's like, what just happened? And then to see, which for anybody, I don't know when you guys check, but I waited like an hour after the race and I checked it, and I'm like, P2, 137 points. Let's go. And then I looked today, and there's some voodoo shit going on in the app. That's why I'm 200 back.
So it's
105 points.
So you have to wait for the official results to come out. So basically, once tech is done, you can probably take a look at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is basically what it is. Because if drivers switch, like they had a notice on here that Suarez and Busch positions have been adjusted. Well, depending on how your pick'ems went, that could be a 10-point swing.
Correct. Yep.
So typically I wait till after tech is done, and it should be updated. So no, again, looking at the overall standings, I am in the lead, but I'm only up by 7 points above the Jackman Kellen, who we are kind of pulling away from Dietz a little bit. He's kind of in his own island. And then it's 100 points back to Cam. Sophie's picks is in 5th. Gasman's Girl is in 6th. And Kurt Busch Stan is in 7th. Who was your winner overall last week?
Yep.
So little bit of a crapshoot of a race, which we kind of expect, but it's a good track to burn some guys that you typically wouldn't start.
Yep.
So, overall race picks though, Kellen, you had yourself a hell of a night with Brad K, gaining a ton of points, and then me and Cam did not do too hot with Blaney and Bush respectively.
Right.
Um,
I picked Brad K there, buddy.
Oh, sorry, Cam, you had a hell of a week then.
yep.
Nope, I gotta flip these around then because I screwed up on it. So hold on, let me do this real quick then.
Unbelievable.
I know I'm
No
failing you
wonder,
guys
no
here.
wonder he's winning the race picks. He's shit's all
Yeah,
screwed up.
for real.
That's
Oh,
that's
Brad K for Cam. Oh, Cam with a C. I'll give myself those points.
Well, nope. I didn't give myself any points. I stuck with my Blaney, who got me 24 points. Cam, you're currently leading overall points by 3 over Kellen in
Whoa.
our race picks. And I
All
bring
right.
up the rear behind by a whopping 8 points.
Okay. Dover, we ready?
Picking order.
Me.
Yeah, Kel, myself, and then Cam. So,
Oh, oh boy.
what do you
I don't
got?
know. Hey, you know who I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna go Brad K.
You're going. Ooh. All
Hey,
right.
he's he's gonna get her done.
Well, you're gonna leave me the good old homeboy then. I'm gonna
Yep.
go with Truex.
Okay.
And I'm going to stay in the Toyota camp as well, based on their short track package. Guys tore his shit up week in, week out, but let's get it right. I'm going to go Christopher Bell.
Not a bad way.
All
Get
right.
kind of a driver's track.
You know, a place that likes to slip and slide, he'll let her hang out a little bit.
Yep.
So
So yeah, tune in Sunday. Dover's a fun track. That'll produce some good racing, to say the least. Short little track, multiple grooves. So any other final thoughts from the pit crew here?
nope.
Busy week of racing. Got another one coming up.
Yep.
Yeah. So obviously, race season, I think we can officially say is in the full swing of things. Pit crew, the boys have been boots on the ground for the pit crew. Got fantastic racing on any streaming service you're willing to pay for. Cup is in the full swing of things. And again, dirt, wing sprints, late models. Yeah, it's full go, pedal on the floor. So, as always, stay tuned later in the week for the race previews. Shoot us some feedback if you like them or you don't like them. Give us some comments. Drop your comments in the comment section below. Again, maybe you got a solution to the fuel saving issue. So, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and we're burning it down. And we'll see y'all next week.